What's up? Today we are playing Grixis Goryos Vengeance. Why play more colors than needed in a deck? We have all we need. We have Faceless Looting, we have Tainted to get draw stuff into the graveyard, we have obviously Psychic Frog and Emperor of Bones as good 2-drop creatures, the usual Goryos Vengeance, and we have our targets 1 Grizzlebrand, 4 Atraxa, and 3 Sin Spyros Punishment, which is one of the new Final Fantasy cards that you probably don't know of. When Sin enters our decks, we exile a permanent card from our graveyard at random, and then create a tap token that's a copy of it. Then if it was a land, we repeat this process. So lands in the grave don't really matter, we just ramp a lot, and then we put in something big hopefully, or maybe just a Fable, maybe just a Psychic Frog. But this deck is built in a way that all our permanents are heavy hitters, except for Emperor of Bones I guess, but Emperor of Bones means that in the turn after we get to have a heavy hitter. Fable is just a great card. And to fill this, we don't have white, so we don't have Ephemerate to make sure our creatures stay on board, but we have Consign to Memory and Essence Flux. Essence Flux as a Ephemerate at home, it's just a one-time blink effect, and if the creature is a spirit, you put a 1/1 counter on it. That doesn't really matter. And we have 2 Sword Seizes just to fill it up. In our sideboard, we have the 4th Consign to Memory against decks where Consign is good, Eldrazi, Artifact decks, Belcher. We have Into the Floodmoor as a versatile interaction piece against Lords of Hate, against some creatures, stuff like Amulet type maybe. And the last Force of Negation. As black cards, we have some removal against something like Boros, where we have to have some removal post board because they can be too quick. We have 3 Fatal Push, and which is really nice, 2 Force of Despair. Also good card against Kappa Cannoneer, because it can go around Ward, and we also have the last 2 Sword Seizes against combo decks. And the last cards are some Artifact Hate, 2 Abrade, 2 Color Guns Command. I'm excited. I've played it before, went 4-1 twice. Let's hope we can replicate it, because I didn't record those games, because I didn't have the time to really sit down and record them, and I just played it in between. So let's hope that when recording, we can rebuild this result. So let's run it back and let's see how it goes. You know the drill. Quick intro here. Here, hello everybody. Please don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment, anything. Just interact with the video in some way. It really helps get some reach, get more people to watch the content. If you like the deck list, if you like the deck, if you like anything here, please share it. I would really appreciate it. I would greatly appreciate it. And without further ado, let's head into the games and see how often we will go nuts with Sin Spyros Punishment. Match number 1, we are on the play. If we had better mana, this would actually be kind of cute. Unfortunately, it's just a basics form. This has to be mulligan. This looks kind of interesting. We'll keep this. We could, in theory, be really greedy and turn 1 Sword Seize ourselves to discard Atraxa and go return to play the turn after to refill our hand again. But I think we'll just stand back for a little and try to find a discard spell. So let's get rid of the sewers. So if we're playing against a counterspell deck, we just lose by sword seizing ourselves right here. Only matchup where it would be really good is Boros Energy. We're playing against the Living End, so now I actually would have loved to do that. Just get rid of the Shardless Agent. Don't just play the land and pass the turn. I think now we'll keep the Sword Seize on top to just discard ourselves next turn. I think I actually just have to discard myself, because I have to have something in the graveyard to be somewhat threatening to do anything. Could also discard our opponent to make sure that they get rid of another Cascade spell. I think like this we are somewhat safe, because if our opponent goes for the Living End, we'll just reanimate Atraxa, and if they find a Spirit to discard to the graveyard, that's neat. No need for any more lands. But their graveyard is so filled that even if we get a Sin, we are screwed. Do they have a 3rd Cascade spell? They don't. They just pass a turn. We find a Consign. That's pretty nice. We're able to stifle away their Cascade trigger. Say hello to the cat. Opponent cycles the 3rd Generous End, and they fuck the Breeding Pool in, so they have the Force of Negation up. We draw an Atraxa. Now we're just waiting, just seeing if our opponent does anything. Happy to consign a Cascade trigger. Opponent just keeps on cycling. And there is the Art Plea. Let's just fully replicate so our opponent has no shot of using any weird free counter spell. And we find a second consign. So next turn, probably will just be the same. Yep, that just looks like it. And we find a Fable. It's pretty nice. If the Fable resolves, we get to discard our trucks as well. And if it doesn't, well, they commandeer it. Okay. Did not expect them to have double commandeer in the main deck. And now we're in some trouble. This Fable actually will be really big for them. Because they have 2 Hardened Pleas. Like, that's a 4/4 basically that attacks us every turn and allows them to dig for more cascades. And treasures are also really important for our opponent because it means they get to hardcast their bigger creatures pretty soon. Just play the Delta and pass the turn. That's unfortunately not really a lot we get to do. We just have to find something ASAP. Definitely have to grab a second blue source. Another Fable that could be a blocker, but I mean we are out of mana and can't cast a force. I think that won't be enough. Another consign and we're just dead. Or sideboarding. For sideboarding, we'll take bring in the last Sword Seizes, bring in the Force of Despair as a cheeky way to wrath them if Living End resolves, bring in the Force of Negation and a consign. And we're shaving on the Fables, take out one of the Emperor of Bones, even though it can somewhat control their graveyard, but it's just our worth reanimation target, and maybe we are able to have our graveyard be big enough so that we just get rid of Living End as a threat. And we'll take out the Essence Flux, because we bring in Consign, and Consign is just a better way of keeping our creatures around in this matchup. Game number 2, we're on the play, and this looks okay. We can discard our opponent, we can consign a Cascade trigger, so let's just keep it. Opponent kept the 1-lander. Don't hate the idea of just discarding an opponent cycle actually, so they miss the land drops. But let's just stay conservative. Let's get rid of Skater, because that's a reasonable thing to do. Opponent just top decked another land, kept it on top, and we find an Atraxa, which is pretty nice. For the time being, our graveyard is definitely more dangerous, and we find a Faithless Looting. I actually really like that. Do I wait another turn, or do I go for it now? I think just going for Griselbrand right here is pretty good, because we're able to just script our hand really well. Maybe I'll just wait another turn. We could also keep it with a consign. Let's discard the Griselbrand already, but let's keep consign up. Opponents grab the tapped Meticulous Archive. I think if they go to cycle the Aven now, I will just go for the Goryos. Oh no, doesn't make really sense. Let's just grab Theater. Because we wouldn't get to attack with the Griselbrand as well. I will keep another looting in case they have an endurance. We consign it, but you never know if they have multiple. Looting is just pretty sweet. Hopefully they just miss a land drop. They do. Nice. So now let's just Goryos our Grizzle. Opponent has a Force of Negation, but that's okay. That just means that our graveyard still is way more dangerous than theirs. Also is a reason why I won't consign the Cascade trigger if they went for it. I would consign the Endurance trigger that they would potentially use in response. I will open myself to an Endurance right here and find another Goryos Vengeance. So why not give it another go? There's the Endurance, but we can just consign that trigger. And now we get to do the fun stuff of drawing some cards. We already find an island and a consign. I think that's pretty much all we're just looking for. Could draw once more to look for another threat to put into graveyard, except for only the Atraxa. I think right now our opponent's graveyard still is small enough that only the Atraxa is enough, because we have the follow-up of the Emperor and the Psychic Frog. We could also stifle the Goryos to keep the Griselbrand around, because they did exile a Shardless Agent, because we know that they still have an Ardent Plea in hand. I think I just let the Griselbrand go. Could also get rid of one more creature so that our graveyard is more threatening. Don't hate that actually. Yeah, let's discard a frog. Next time we can play the Emperor of Bones, start clearing their graveyard. Opponent finds their third land drop finally. Sword Seize, which is great, so we can just clear our opponent's hand again. There is a Teferi Time Reveler. Now, that would be annoying. Let's get rid of that. Grab an Emperor of Bones. Get rid of their bigger creatures. Oh no, we can't just pass a turn. Opponent would probably just go for a board wipe right here. I'm not even sure if I will counter it. Opponent has 2 wind callers, an endurance, endless shard to get and a street race, but we do get a Truxer and a psychic frog. I think I prefer our board. I think I'll just let it resolve. Inevitable betrayal. I did not expect that one. I guess I go for Goryos Vengeance in response and try to find Force of Negation. We find a Force of Negation. So let's grab some cards and force this betrayal. Bam. Good thing we also find another Swordseize, so we get to discard them again. Kind of unfortunate that our graveyard now looks like shit. Let's get rid of the last Cascader, run out the Fable, and start exiling the grave some more. Oh, I just grabbed the Endurance, which I should have probably done before as well, because I can just adapt the Emperor of Bones in response to their living end and empty their grave. Should have done that last turn, but it all turned out well. So I guess I'm kind of happy. On to game number 3. Game number 3 now changes the sideboard. I think the cheeky Force of Despair might come in handy. Maybe they should still just be Fables, because we do have enough things to stop them from cascading, and that way we are able to deploy some more threats proactively. I think on the draw especially I want the free spells. So let's run back. Hand looks great, let's keep. Right here, because we're on the draw, we'll do something a little risky. I will just skip the first turn to discard something if we don't draw looting. One sec is a generous end, and I'll just discard the Traxxer to hand size. So if they have an endurance right here, would be annoying, but if they don't endurance right now, we do have Consign to stifle the endurance. We have Force of Negation to counter something. We have Force of Despair to wipe the board. I think we're pretty set to just play the game now really well. Especially because we didn't have a discard spell and now our graveyard is dangerous for them. Opponent misses a land drop, that's good. But I won't crack the fetch right here because I want to make sure I have Consign in case they have a good endurance. Should have played the Demons before if I'm talking about that, but guess that's life. And now with the Emperor, I would just play the Emperor right now and start digging at our opponent's graveyard because we do have the Force of Negation to get rid of their stuff. Now with the Emperor right here and our opponent missing the land drop, we are just being chilling. Opponent goes to clean up and discards an inevitable betrayal. Could also exile the Truxer so we could Reanimator in response to anything our opponent does, but I think for now I'm still happy just getting rid of our opponent's graveyard, keeping up my interaction, and just swinging in. Opponent found a land cycler. Not quite sure why they didn't cycle it last turn, so they could play the land. That's curious, and they don't even play the land. They just go to discard to hand side. I'm not quite sure what our opponent's plans is. Honestly, I have no idea what they are up to. That just looks hella weird. I'll keep Contained Indulgence, and they discard another inevitable betrayal. I would just keep the grave clean again, but with them discarding 2 inevitable betrayals, do they maybe just not have any targets left? And now they play the Hedge Maze. Why they didn't play it last turn is beyond me. I don't understand, but I'm not here to understand what our opponent is doing. I'm just here to play against them. So let's Tainted Indulgence. Let's get rid of this Sin. And now the Sin is juicy enough that I will activate it with the Emperor. And I'll just activate it. Grab the Sin. Bring the Truxxer token into play. And we'll hit our opponent down to 1. Let's grab one more Force of Negation because why not? Fable, looting, and our opponent scoops. Nice. On to the next match. Match number 2, we won the die roll. Woohoo! And depending on the matchup, this hand is actually okay, but don't really have anything going on proactively early on, so let's look for something better. Something like this. Let's keep it, put away one of the consigns, and let's just dig for Goryos. I did not realize that's not a blue source. I'm glad I topped the Gillet. Oh damn, this almost went horribly. Never punished, luckily enough. Don't place an Arid Mesa, so they're probably on Boros Energy, which should be a pretty good matchup for us. But they don't really have too many ways of interacting with us, and we can just do our thing. Yeah, they grab an Elegant Parlor, though. I assume there's some cats incoming. Voice of Victory, that's actually one of the more annoying things they could play right here. because that means we can't end of turn go for Goryos Vengeance in the future. Good thing we already have a consign. Let's get rid of... Do we get rid of Atraxa already? Yeah, let's just discard the Atraxa. Emperor of Bones. That's looking great. Next turn, we're able to grab our Atraxa. And the good thing with Emperor is that we are also able to activate him in our opponent's turn, so maybe we get to keep her around and consign away the trigger. And one good thing about Voice of Victory is that we just get all the F6 value, we can just yield through the entire turn, not have to worry about anything right now, because we don't have anything on board, have no activated abilities we could use. So let's just sit back, relax, and get beaten in the face for a little. Opponent has a Seasoned Pyromancer, so there's loads of creatures right now to find a second consign. But I think I just have to put something on the board and dig for more. So I will just Emperor the Atraxa right now to get the hit in, gain some life back, and make sure that we have a decent blocker in the 4th for Emperor of Bones. And hopefully we find something more to with the Atraxa, so we're able to Goryos next turn again. Because if we wait, our opponent will most likely have removal for our Emperor right here. Let's definitely grab the Goryos, let's grab the Swordseize. And what else do we take? Do we take the Psychic Frog or do we take a Reanimation target? I think I'll take the Sin. And let's grab a Polluted Delta. We're done. Attack with Atraxa, gains 7 life back, which is a really important life swing. Unfortunately, Atraxa leaves, but because our opponent is playing Boros, we can also just Swordseize ourselves to discard Sin, bring Sin back with the Goryos Vengeance, and then consign Stifle the trigger and keep her around. Opponent has Ajani. Do they also have Bombardment? That would be absolute worst case, because that means we might just die. Also really annoying that we can't use a Force of Negation on the Bombardment. I would be so happy. Turn 2 I was hoping our opponent just goes for... Oh, they discharge their own cat to flip Ajani. That's actually manageable. We can work with that. Question is if they just zero it now to kill our Emperor of Bones, or they attack first to have more creatures on the board. They just get rid of it ASAP. That's okay, because that means next turn Swordseize, discard ourselves, bring back Sun, means that we also reanimate an Emperor of Bones, and we're able to kill Ajani. We do take a decent chunk of damage right here, but as long as they don't have Bombardment, it's nothing game breaking. And we just find Atraxa, so that's what's better right now. We could... The problem is we have the Emperor... Now it's a problem we have the Emperor of Bones in the graveyard, because it means we can't just looting, discard both, Goryos, Sin, make an Atraxa token. It's probably just better to reanimate Atraxa then, because she also has Vigilance, because of why not. Let's discard ourselves. Grab Atraxa. Just grab a Thundering Falls to preserve our life total. I think I'll also grab a creature that we can play now, because we don't have a reanimation spell, so let's grab an Emperor of Bones. And I don't really think there's any need to grab more Force of Negations, because our opponent has a Voice of Victory. They'll probably just keep it around for as long as possible. We get to hit at Ajani. Go back up to 18 life, kill their Planeswalker. Have a big ass blocker with lifelink. Consign the Goryos trigger. And I think business is booming. Let's see what you've got, opponent. It's also really funny that creatures just keep the haste from the Goryos Vengeance if you manage to keep them around with a consign to memory. Really nice synergy with the new Sonic Secret Lair. Opponent has hasty creatures right here. What do you have, opponent? They don't. Okay. Opponent is getting frisky over there. But they don't have a bombardment, which is by far the most important thing. Opponent just swings in with the team. I'll happily just block one of the Voice of Victories. This, ladies and gentlemen, is why Goblin Bombardment is such a great card, because it could just easily kill us if they had it. We wouldn't gain the life from the Atraxa, we would take damage for every token, we would take like 10 damage from this Ajani Zero if they just sacrifice the cat. And they have another discharge on a cat to flip Ajani. And they can actually kill our Atraxa right now. Good thing we have an Emperor. Let's get rid of another Atraxa, I guess. Grab the Emperor, exile our Atraxa. Our opponent knows every card in our hand except for the Fable, so they should know what's coming to them. activate the Emperor, trigger the Atraxa. We even find an Essence. Find another Goryos, that's huge. We find a Swordseize, which doesn't matter, so let's grab a looting instead. We find more lands, let's just grab a basic to not hurt ourselves. And I'm fine with this. And we move to discard. No need for you, no need for you, no need for you, no need for you, and no need for you. Our hand is looking absolutely mighty pristine. We are 21, our opponent is down to 1 card in hand, and we have the trucks on board. Next turn we can reanimate Sin to have lethal. Nice! On to sideboarding. Against Boros, I'll bring in 2 Fatal Push and the 2 Force of Despairs, take out 2 Fables, a Looting and a Force of Negation. I bring in some of the creature removal that can answer something like a Voice of Victory, some of the early threats, and Force of Despair just to wipe their board if they have a turn where they just go super wide. So this hand looks great, let's keep. We could be greedy and something to discard them, go for Indulgence into Goryos and look for something else to grab. Also find a Blood Crypt to just chuck in, that's also pretty nice. And let's discard our opponent's Ocelot Pride so they don't go too wide. Just the 2 Guide of Souls, that's fine, that's mad. Yeah, they run out the 2nd Guide of Souls. The Pyromancer right here also will be pretty good for them, allowing them to read. To grab a basic island next turn, discard our Sin. Opponent has a Voice of Victory, that's annoying. Definitely have to find something against that next turn. Find another Goryos Vengeance, okay. On this case, Sin is actually by far the worst target we could have, which is unfortunate, because our graveyard is just empty otherwise. But Voice with double Guide of Souls will hurt a lot next turn. Let's use a Surveillance, hope we mill another target. Getting ridiculous. So I will Sin back end of turn to have a blocker at the very least. And Sin makes a land, I guess. It is a land drop. We have our big Leviathan Avatar now, and that's it. We also have a Skellington. That's one of the least impressive Goryos I've ever seen. An opponent will just play Season Pyromancer here, go super wide, gain loads of energy, have the Voice of Victory to make more token, gain even more energy. They're able to buff everything. So we're in trouble. We're in lots of trouble. They are on a Reanimator variant. Good for us that all their creatures on board currently are humans. Good old Bard's Closer right here. And they stacked their triggers wrong. That's rough, opponent. That's rough. They stack their triggers wrong. They don't get to use the Reanimator right here, and we just get rid of the Voice of Victory. I mean, we're still in a world of pain right now, and we have to find something immediately. I don't think that's it. Go for the Tainted Indulgence. That's not it. We're just dead. Unfortunate. Opponents stick the triggers wrong, but we're just dead. Now that we know that they are on a Reanimator variant though, I think I'll bring in the last Fatal Push as well, just to make sure. But I really like the Force of Despair now. That sounds really sweet. And I'll shave 1 Emperor of Bones. Yes, I would like to go first. And this looks great. Let's keep. Let's just lead with the sewers. Next turn, play the frog. 3 Miller Truxer. Nice. Whoever said Entombed wasn't modern legal didn't know surveillance exists. My opponent shocks and foundry and has a monkey. Oh, that's monkey business, I'd say. Ah, what a funny joke. Let's grab a Steam Vents, run out of Frogger, and pass the turn. I'll happily discard half of my hand into this Psychic Frog to keep it around. Honestly, I'll discard 4 cards. I just want to keep one to Goryos Vengeance and I'm happy. Do you attack opponent? Or are you afraid? If our opponent doesn't have anything right here, we just have lethal next turn. Because we can discard the Grizzlebrand, buy it back with the Goryos Vengeance, draw 14 cards, discard 14 cards into the Psychic Frog, hit our opponent for 21. So, yeah, let's do that. Opponent is tapped out. We just draw some cards with Grizzlebrand. And now let's just discard our entire hand into the Psychic Frog to attack our opponent for way too much damage in the air. Opponent seems to be tilted because... Nice! On to the next match. Match number 3, we won another die roll. The luck is with the stupid. If we had another land, this would be a sweet mid-range hand, just playing the Psychic Frog, drawing hopefully another land for Fable, but with a 1-lander, it's a mulligan. And this looks like a really good mid-range hand. Let's keep it. And I think I'll bottom 1 land. Some matchups, the Emperor of Bones also will just be really huge as it is. But even if Emperor of Bones won't carry right here as a mid-range card, we just have up Psychic Frog. We're happy. Opponent has an Other Saga. Is it Amulet by chance? No. Mishra's Bauble, it's probably a VV pile. And the Tormod script, just like that, turn 1. What the fuck is going on? Okay, opponent, all the hate. What up? Let's just grab a Sewers. Run out the frog and pass the turn. Turn 1 Tormod script, just like that. That's the Affinity start you like to see as a Goryos player. Not especially blind, like opponent has no clue what we're doing and they just have the Tormod script turn 1. They just waited a single turn to play it. We would have had the consign for it. It's just swinging with a frog for 1. Oh, there is no Truxer. I think I'll actually just keep up my consigns right here. Because stifling both of their target triggers sounds really funny. Our opponent won't be able to search for a construct and the other one won't be able to make constructs. Won't be able to search for an artifact. So no Mox or something like that for them. No colored mana to cast VV. But it's just a Cannoneer. Okay. That's a big boy. But I can live with that. Mox Ember, sure, just grows a Cannoneer. Don't really care. Because the Tormod script is tapped right now. I can just discard a Traxxer. And exile her to the Emperor of Bones now. My Emperor is set up. Sit them in the air. Maybe they have spellbombs in the main deck to bounce our Emperor, which would be annoying, but also not too bad. Just grab a Blood Crypt and Sword System to see if they have anything left. Sword Monitor, that's a good one to discard. We're just hoping our opponent doesn't have a Spellbomb in the main deck to bounce our Emperor of Bones right here. If they do, that would be annoying. Oh, they just have a Pithing Needle. But do they go for Frog or the Emperor? Probably the Emperor, I'd assume. Yeah. That still means our Psychic Frog is live. And there's also a Spellbomb. Okay, they just have both. Okay, now it's getting rough. Because it means we don't have a way to gain life back. Opponent just needs 1 artifact to kill us next turn with the unblockable Copper Cannoneer. And they basically draw 3 cards with the bombs and maybe another one with the Spellbomb. Let's just hit them with the Psychic Frog, keep back the Emperor, and hope that we are able to stop them. They bounce the Frog, that's okay. Replay the Frog, and at the very least we can consign a Cannoneer trigger to have 1 more turn. But the Tormod script on the board right here probably will just seal the deal. And if they just draw a second artifact, we are done. I have to consign to memory a Mishra's Bauble. That's the world we live in. There's an Emery, but that means we get to block the Cannoneer for a turn. Nice. Not sure if that's a winning line, I don't really think it is, but gotta do what you gotta do. Next turn we just have with the Emery buying back pretty much anything. Nothing we can do. I'll decide about it. Playing against Affinity, I'll bring in obviously the Call Against Command, the Abrade and Consign, but I'll also bring in the Force of Despair because it's a way of getting rid of the Cannoneer that goes around the ward. We'll cut the Essence Flux because we bring in another Consign as a survive trigger. Take out one of the Force of Negations because most of their stuff is just waste away token, shave on looting, and also get rid of the Fables because I don't really think our mid-range plan with Fable really does anything. So let's just run it like this and hope Force of Despair catches them off guard. I'll go first, and we're able to get rid of Thin with Indulgence, and we have a Consign. I think I just keep it based solely on the fact that we have the Consign right here. Like, the hand doesn't really do anything right now. Also, if we get back a Sin without anything else in the yard, it doesn't really do anything. But I still think that I'm happy to just keep the hand with the Consign and an Indulgence to find something else. Let's play Polluted Data. If our opponent starts puking artifacts on the board already, we'll just consign something. So that's exactly what I was talking about. Let's just stop you right in the tracks, opponent. Because Affinity also sometimes just keeps hands where Moxen are their only real kind of sources. But no, there is a lot of puke. Rock in the Watery Grave and pass the turn. Yep, and they only have 1 mana because they were counting on their Mox. Ooh, let's get rid of a Truxer instead of Sin. That sounds like a better threat. And let's try to not draw any more lands. We even have enough lands to just hardcast Sin if our opponent screws around and doesn't find anything. Definitely would be funny. Theater. There's a Goryos Vengeance. I could just go for it now, but I think with the pause our opponent made on the Torrented Indulgence earlier on, I think they have a Metallic Rebuke, so I just play Polluted Delta and pass the turn. Color command. That looks pretty good, because that means we can get rid of one of the artifacts and make it so that they can't Metallic Rebuke. Just shock in the Steam Winds, pass the turn, enter turn, let's destroy target artifact, add the 2 damage to our opponent. So making them discard wouldn't really matter. Like, they have to discard their hand size either way. Or they use the Metallic Rebuke on the Color Guns command right here, then they don't have to discard in both scenarios. So there's a Metallic Rebuke, and there's a Goryos Vengeance on the Atraxa. Grab Psychic Frog, let's grab another Consign to Memory to keep her around, and let's just grab a Scalding Tarn, I guess. Your Metallic Rebuke resolves the opponent. I am glad for you. Run of the Frog, and next turn we can just hardcast Sin. He's kind of funny. Hit our opponent with the Atraxa, and let's keep her around. Also, let's just replicate. We have nothing else to do with our mana, and maybe our opponent has a Force of Negation, so better be safe than sorry. Now we have Atraxa and Psychic Frog on board. Our opponent finds the land. They finally have 2 mana, and there's a portable hole against our Psychic Frog. That's rude, opponent. That's so rude. I'll still just discard 2 lands to get back with our Sin, because now it's just a really fancy Ram spell. Opponent probably is wondering what the fuck we're up to, that we just discard all these lands without a reason. And another Atraxa. Love to see it. So let's hit our opponent. Opponent down to 4. Grab a basic Swamp, and let's bring out the big guns. See how many lands we get before we hit the Atraxa. Only 2. I expected to hit more lands right here. I really expected to hit more lands right here. We'll just keep the original around, because she's untapped. Force of Despair sounds great to stop them in their tracks. Emperor of Bones in the land are just fine. With the Force of Despair, there's pretty much nothing they could deploy on the board to protect themselves. Like, not that there is anything they could do with 2 big flyers that are lethal. Opponent goes to their turn, takes that draw, and scoops it up. On to game number 3. Don't really think there's a reason to do any changes to sideboarding, so let's just run it back ASAP. But it's a 1-liner with so good interaction, I will keep it. Because I think we're able to blow out our opponent a lot with this. 2 consigns, potential Abrade, and it just looks pretty nasty. Opponent has all the Moxen and a Spell Bomb. No creature, so I'm happy. And we find another Thoughtseize, that's also pretty sweet. Let's grab a blue-black source. Even though our Braid is not castable like this, but I just want to discard our opponent. 2 Sword Monitors. 2 Sword Monitors is unfortunate. I hope there would be something like a Cannoneer, because that way our Force of Despair would be the blowout. I hope it's going to be. There's a Darksea Citadel, and they run out the Sword Monitor. Oh, there's no reason for me to use a Force of Despair on that. Just go back to our turn and Thoughtseize them again. They even crack a bauble. Interesting. Opponent is all lands, but it's an Other Saga in between, and those card strikes will be dangerous, and they top deck a Swordcast. The best place for your best card is right on top of your library, so it doesn't get Swordseized. Definite skill issue on my part. But to be fair, I kept a greedy 1-lander, so getting punished right there is to be expected, kind of. Still unfortunate that it's happening like this. I think I actually have to consign this trigger so they don't make the huge constructs that just kill us too quickly. One just passes a turn like this. I think I'm happy with that. Nice, we get to mill Atraxa. Let's just top deck a Goryos. Not too much to ask, is it? It's an Emperor of Bones. I think I'll just wait. They do have Spell Bomb, so Emperor doesn't do anything. They can just grab... They would be able to grab Graveyard Hate with the Saga trigger. I think I have to use a second consign on a Saga. That Saga just ate 2 consigns. Damn. I hope no opponent plays a Cannoneer. There's a Cannoneer. No, just please don't have a Metallic Rebuke opponent. Don't do it to me. Please let this Force of Despair just be really good. They bounce their Cannoneer. That's okay. That means our Emperor of Bones will go through. It's just looting before. I don't think I want another looting. Exile the Atraxa. And they have a Dispatch on top of that. Okay, I think now we're screwed. I think now there's no coming back. Well, we kept the greedy 1-lander. and get double punished. We missed land drop, and our opponent top decks the sword cast after our Swordseize, and the hand was also Swordseize proof with double monitor. For all those factors, I think the game went pretty well. And we can draw Goryos Vengeance now. Oh, had I just not exiled the Atraxa immediately and first exiled something else. GG. Oh, we lost the die roll. That's something new. I always thought Goryos always wins the die roll. We're just looking for a big guy to put into our graveyard. Other than that, our hand has pretty much everything, and it looks like we're playing against Boros again. Yep, there is an Ocelot Pride. Unfortunately, don't really have anything good against that game one. This opponent also has a Goblin Bombardment, which will hurt a lot. There is an Atraxa. Let's just play a Scarling turn. And pass the turn. End of turn, we'll just Indulgence the Atraxa into the graveyard. Turn after Goryos and hope we find a way to keep her around. We did get rid of a consign, but there's still plenty to go around. Guide of Souls into Ajani. Voice of Victory. Why do all my Boros opponents have the Voice of Victory? That's so annoying. That's so annoying. Get rid of Atraxa. It also kind of means that they'll be able to just shoot down the Atraxa with all their token. We find a consign, that's the most important thing. Do I grab another Atraxa to buy back, or do I grab a Psychic Frog? I think I grab a Psychic Frog because the main way of getting rid of the Atraxa probably includes killing her instead of exiling her. Together with the energy the Voice of Victory will provide, that they are also just able to discharge the Atraxa. We won't be able to use our Force of Negation because of this fucking Voice of Victory. That's so annoying. Let's make sure our Atraxa stay, and let's just discard a tapped land, because I don't really think there's any way for us to utilize a tapped land anymore. Seasoned Pyromancer, so they have City's Blessing and they make even more token with the Ocelot Pride. And they discard to bed. Main deck Drannith Magistrate. What? What? What movie is this? Opponent just attacks with the Voice of Victory and gets to sacrifice the token to kill the Atraxa. What? I'll happily take the block. If this Voice of Victory actually dies, I'm so glad. They sacrifice the voice. They actually do. Oh, sweet Jesus. I really thought they'd sacrifice the token to protect her. I mean, that way they make way more token, like, way more token. But their voice is gone. Opponent has infinite energy, infinite token, infinite damage with the Goblin Bombardment. And they just sacrifice the 6 new token to get rid of the Atraxa. Like, 2 of the warriors and 4 of the new token. Atraxa down. Oh, we're hoping we draw another Goryos, right? That's what we're here for. We don't draw another Goryos. Who our opponent is working with? Main deck Drannith Magistrate. Who hurt them? Another Seasoned Pyromancer. Can't have that. But we're just dead, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, we're just dead even if we play a blocker. Had to find a Goryos. For the first game, I'll once again just bring in 2 pushes. Shake the same cards. And let's run it like this. I would like to go first, actually, but there is no lands here, so that's the mulligan. We have a Psychic Frog. It looks okay. Absolutely nothing spectacular. Let's just try it. We have no card to pitch into either Force, and we just discard Sin. So we're using Entomb again. Don't know why people wanted to banned in Legacy. I wanted banned in Modern at first, so like, I think in Legacy there is more spells to fight it. Anyway, let's draw another Sin, I guess. What? Grab a basic Swamp, run out the Psychic Rock, discharge. Let's just discard some cards. Yup. Got it. Do we also have the Static Prison to actually punish me, opponent? A second discharge. And now we have a big ass rock. And we're hopefully able to ride to victory off the back of this Psychic one. Ooh, another one. Nice. Another one bites dust. Another one Psychic rock. Ajani. You got it. Your 2-drop might be in the better deck, but our 2-drop is the better 2. And we even find something more. Let's give this boy flying. And let's just pass a turn. If our opponent has a removal for another Psychic frog, let's just bring it back with a Sin. And if they don't, I'll end of that turn, get a Surveillant, and maybe survey something else into the graveyard, buy back the Sin. Opponent has a Voice of Victory. That's so annoying, opponent. That's so lame. Let's just grab another black source. And I think more red mana also doesn't hurt, so Rosh Theater sounds good. No need for another land. That's really good. Like, really good. I don't need all those lands of the Sin. I just want to make sure that the Psychic Frog gets to connect. So let's reanimate Sin. Create an Atraxa. Do they have this Raven Charm? Oh, they have this Raven Charm. Opponent is tagged out. What the fuck? And now they also have a bombardment together with the Voice of Victory. Oh god. Why, opponent? Why? And the second Ajani. Why do they do it like this? Why do they let pull away the Vodajani? What is going on? Oh. Oh. That can't be reality. Like, I can't be losing to those plays. Oh man. They literally just threw away Ajani. Just threw him under the bus. Didn't care. So we basically have to top deck another Goryos or Emperor Bones, right? And they sacrifice the cat token instead of one of the warriors to get rid of the Psychic Frog. Like, really? Okay, they sacrifice those warriors to get rid of the Psychic Frog now. That's fine then. They're out of cards, so just I'm using my one time right here. That's not it. So we only have one more turn until we're dead. Oh, damn. Let's take a big hit. No, we're just dead because of Ajani as well. That's game, I guess. Final match, seeing if we can get the Jund trophy. Our hand looks great. Even though we are on the draw. Just turn to Psychic Frog, get rid of the Atraxa, Goryos her after. That's a great plan. Love it. Opponent appears to be on Belcher. So let's see if we can find enough interaction. Also, something really cute just happened. Opponent just recognized me from the Mystical Teachings guide I wrote and said thank you to it because they managed to qualify to Prague because of it. I will keep a second Goryos in case I have a counter for the first one. Opponent bolts into Secret Restoration, so they probably have some. Oh, we do find a looting, so we could just get rid of that Atraxa like this, but I don't think I want to do that. I think play the Psychic Frog. Opponent has no Lotus in suspend, so we should survive this turn. And with the Frog on board, we're able to draw some more cards, we're able to put some pressure on our opponent. There's the Belcher just right here. I don't think I have anything to answer that, unfortunately. Like, there's no way for us to answer on board Belcher. We're just dying. Let's scoop it up, so our opponents still think that we're just on a Grixis Frog variant. Against Mono U Belcher, I won't bring in the Color Guns command. I just think the 3 mana Shatter effect is a little too expensive, but I will bring in the Braid because it's a great split spell against them. It can both kill Tameshi and the Belcher. We're shaving loads of our mid-range stuff, and one thing that I probably should have done earlier already, I also shaved one of the Sins, because when we go down on the permanent count by cutting the Fables and also shaving an Emperor of Bones, there's just not as many targets for Sin to be of any use. We've seen it before, which is why I only now think of it, that sometimes we only have the Sin in the graveyard and then Goryos thing for it just does nothing. So let's see if this works out. Also, we are on the play. We have loads of Sword Seizers. We have a consign. Nice. Definitely hand that's appreciated. Sword Seizers against Belcher are also really funny because you can just get rid of the lands. And sometimes you just win by discarding lands. So let's hope that something like this might happen. Also because I could be on Harbinger, I'll just grab a basic Swamp and stay safe. Well, definitely has enough lands to do stuff. Unable to Scream. They think that we're just on a normal Grixis variant. Probably get rid of the Archaeologist. Could also get rid of the Flare, but I think the Archaeologist making the Flare free and digging for Belcher is more dangerous. Won't just play the tapped land. That's totally fine. We find a second consign, so let's just pass a turn, and now we're just staying back and trying to fight an honest war with loads of counter spells. Grab a Thundering Faults. Don't need more Watery Grave. Looting sounds pretty interesting. Able to get rid of the Sin. Let's also get rid of one of the consigns, I actually think. I think the flexibility of Into the Floodmaw is a little better. 2 Sink into Stupor. Yeah, let's get rid of the Flare of Denial so they don't have any interactions themselves. He's unable to Scream, just I think he can do anything. Oh, just a second. Ooh, I keep that on top. I have Consign and Into the Floodmouse interaction, and that's our only way of hardcasting Sin later. It's kind of bad, but I think I'll actually do it. And Dungeons, I'll actually just keep that. Could also flashback the looting right here, because our opponent has no way of killing his next turn, and we have the Into the Floodmouse to bounce the Belcher. Actually, don't hate it. Yeah. It means getting rid of the Indulgence, which is unfortunate. It is what it is. We went a little deeper. Also no Belcher from our opponent, which is nice. And we find a Psychic Frog. Definitely glad to run that out and make them use their Unable to Scream. Yes. This Psychic Frog no longer screams. And they bolt in the second Sophophoric Springs. That must mean that they have a hard counter for our Goryos. So not go for it then. Just another land. Could bounce the Unable to Scream to hit them with a Psychic Frog and draw a card. I don't really think that's worth it. Let's just wait some more. Gotta keep the Valen. Find an upgrade. I actually like that. Try to go for the Goryos. Even if it just ramps us a whole bunch. Doesn't really do anything, does it? Yeah, Goryos Rotation just doesn't do anything. Let's not do it. Would just be 7 damage. Our opponent would still be at 4 life. The Psychic Frog still won't kill them. And that is assuming the Goryos resolves. Just tiptoeing around. We find a Force of Negation. That's good. Kind of wish I had discarded a card to this Psychic Frog just to hit our opponent. Opponent casts the Waterlogged Teachings. That happens. And they grab a Verve Invention. Opponent goes for the Verve. I think I'll just let that resolve. So we have Consign, Flood, and Abrade. Because if I just have to start putting pressure on them, and I'll happily discard the Blood Crypt to put a counter on the Frog. It is the slowest clock of all time. Just a 1-3 Frog under the Unable to Scream, but they go for Tamishi, they try to combo off. We have Consign and Abrade to enter. They bolt in the Seagate Reborn. This time I will discard a card. Sure. Now we do have a 8-turn clock with it here. They go for an Archaeologist. That's annoying. That's a really good blocker for the Psychic Frog. And they find another Verve Invention. So we are in trouble. I think that means that we have to get rid of. We'll just pass them back. There's the Verve Invention for the Belcher. We have to cast our Force and hope they don't have an answer for it. Because if they do, we're dead. They don't. Lucky me. Lucky me. And hopefully they now just have a hardcast Belcher that we can consign. No, they're not going for it. I don't think there's any more surveillance for us, but let's still play the Scalding Tarn, because it would make our opponent think that the other card in our hand before also is a spell. So we didn't play that before. And also if they play Harbinger, we can grab the basic mountain, I guess. Grab the mountain. Another frog, that's good. That's good, that's good, that's good. Also resolves, that's really good. Just hoping to dodge more Verve Inventions from our opponent, but they also used 2 already. Suspend Bloom, and there's another Unable to Scream. I should have discarded the land to that. Accidentally pressed 2. Should have discarded land, because that would mean that we would get at least 1 damage in per turn. Tainted Indulgence, that's actually pretty neat. It hardcasts Disrupting Shoal on it. No! But why didn't they? They didn't show the frog because they had the Unable to Scream. That makes sense, that makes sense. We even have 5 different CMCs now, Grace. You would have literally just drawn 2 cards with the Indulgence. Swordseize. Nice. See what you've got. Pact of Negation and Disrupting Shoal. Let's get rid of the Pact, I guess. Even though the Disrupting Shoal also, at this point, is just a straight-up counter spell. They could even hard counter a Sin if we draw 1. Had I just discarded this island to the Psychic Frog, man. What do we have to do? We just draw the Sin! Yes. Gotta go for it, right? Opponent casts Lotus Bloom. Mana definitely is not the problem at this point. Did they draw the Belcher? They drew the Belcher. We have the Consign. We're both just top decking. Another Psychic Frog. That's nice. As long as we don't die now, this guy will definitely help us. It's so funny if they drew another Unable to Scream. Faceless Looting. Also interesting. Give our Frog Flying. Hit our opponent. Draw a card. Hope it's something good. It is. But that's still looting. I think I have to look for interaction. Interaction is more important, I think. It's unfortunate, but this Consign just looks too good. Maybe I should have taken the Force of Negation in case they draw another Burr, but they only cast 1 Belcher so far. They also already cast 2 Ver, and we find a Goryos. Fire! Guess we'll have a game 3. No changes to sideboarding. I still think Color Gun's command is a little too slow. We are low on animation. We're not on reanimation effects. What am I saying? We only shaved the one Emperor of Bones. Guess we're just unlucky. But we did have all the interaction we could remove, so let's run back. Well, it is a one-lander, but it is a one-lander with 2 consigned to memories. I will be greedy. We also have the Goryos and the Netroxa. I think this is too good of a one-lander to not try it. And we find a Scalding Taunt, it's huge. Opponent also didn't have a Lotus Bloom, which is really good for us. Second Psychic Frog. I do like that, actually. Opponent runs out a Thundertrap Trainer. I was told this is the best card in Modern, together with... Ooh, they have a Revenge right there. So it is getting dangerous, together with Flare of the Nile. I was told this is the best card in Modern, together with Flare of the Nile. Run out the Frog, and they have a Disrupting Show for it. Unfortunate, another trainer. Are they missing land drops? That would be so good for us. A second word, they are not missing land drops. Our consigns look a whole lot worse with them having 2 of Invention. Do they have another answer to Psychic Frog though? They also have a Flare of the Nile. Guess we're not doing too much then. Another trainer, that's strong. Triple trainer, that's strong. I was told that if you have 3 of a kind in Modern, that's strong. And they find another land. So it's getting dangerous. It's getting dangerous. No land drop is unfortunate, but I think I just have to deploy something to the board. Ha, got your nose, opponent. There's a verb for the Lotus. Yep, that just happens. And we find a Crucial Brand. That's not what I want to find, opponent. That's not what I want. Opponent didn't go for the double block. Interesting. Yeah, we thought they would just do that. Because we would have to tap out for that. Ooh, Tamishi. So they have all the mana. Yep. Let's hope Force plus Consign is enough. Because if it is, opponent might just be really screwed. They just bounce all the lands right here. All in. Let's hope this resolves afterwards. Let's look for something with the Thundertrap Trainer. Find another Force, find another Force, find another Force, find another Force. It's not. GG's, opponent. That's unfortunate. Deck is still great. See you in the Afterthoughts. Sheesh. That didn't go as planned, but let's still head back. I really like this list. I'm not sure if the Essence Flux really is that necessary, or you could just play for Consign main. But the guy that built this deck has some really great results all the time with it. So I think probably makes sense. But in my book, Essence Flux, the additional trigger off of the Atraxa, doesn't really matter. And often I just want to side it out because it brings a Consign in either way. I think you could possibly just have one more sideboard slot by taking out one Flux, and 5 probably is just the better ratio to have reliable hits for it. I think the one Essence Flux can just go on this card. It's just not that good. Other than that, the deck is a blast to play. It's also in one way better than other Goryos variants because our mana doesn't suck as much. Like the 4-color Goryos variants that also play later binding, mana is terrible. We actually have good mana and we can just play around Moon and Harbinger effects because we can just grab our mountain and swamp, and we're not color screwed. We can just cast our spells. Looting as a loot spell is incredible. This card was banned in Modern for a reason in the past, and now we can utilize it. Can only recommend playing this deck. Give it a shot. I know the league we played right here was not the best representation of it, but I've done better with it in the past. Just have to make sure that eventually the leagues I record are also leagues where we do well. Anyway, have a good one, and see you in a bit.